Hello everyone. I am still recovering from sickness, but since YouTube demands that I keep putting out content, I figured now is probably the perfect time to try out a brand new show. Hello everybody and welcome out to Current Comic Crap, the show where I, Comic Drake, take a look at some of the most recent things that happened in comics that were cool and interesting and stuff like that. Today, I'm going to be continuing the obnoxious trend of me talking about one of my favorite books, Thor: God of Thunder, and talk about the recent Thor series that has spun out from that continuity, specifically the future continuity. Because guess what? Old King Thor, he's the Phoenix now. It's pretty freaking awesome. Let's discuss. All of this stuff about the old King Thor has been really fascinating to me because, as I've mentioned ad nauseum on this channel, Thor: God of Thunder is my all-time favorite Thor story, and this is where this character was introduced. Now, admittedly, I'm not going to run down his entire complete history because, well, in order to do that, I would literally be having to talk about the complete history of Thor as a character, but even then, this future version of him is a little bit different and has its own unique history in and of itself. And it's interesting since when I first read Thor: God of Thunder, I thought this was going to be all that we would see this version of the character as. And little did I know that Jason Aaron was going to really fall in love with this alternate future that he set up. And I didn't realize that he was going to play around in this, it's not quite an alternate universe, but it kind of feels like one at this point, but I didn't realize he was going to play with this alternate continuity so much going down the line. And I did mention quite a bit of this in my video on the complete history of Gorr the God Butcher, so if you want a little bit more information, probably go give that a watch as well. So anyway, the main thing about the Thor: God of Thunder story is that this main antagonist, Gorr the God Butcher, brought three different versions of Thor together, the one from the past, the one from the main current continuity, and then this one from the alternate future. And this old Thor very much resembles Odin. In fact, I used to play this game called Dice Masters, and it had a Odin card, yet it used the art of Old Man Thor from Thor: God of Thunder, and it bothered me. Now granted, he does look almost identical, which is the freaking point. It was awful, but anyway, the big thing is that Thor now acts and looks a lot like his father. And yes, he even lost an eye. He resembles him entirely. And also an interesting fact is that now Thor is one of the last remaining gods in the entire universe. And he is now the All-Father of Asgard. And the powerful Odin Force is now at his disposal, and it's now called the Thor Force. His arm was even replaced by that of the powerful Destroyer armor. So this is really badass. He does have Mjolnir, his trusty hammer, and it is implied that he got it back even though it was destroyed. It's complicated. To make a long story short, during the original Sin event, Thor was no longer worthy of his hammer, and Jane Foster took it for a little bit, and at the end of her time on it, the hammer was destroyed. Now, admittedly, Mjolnir is a real, actual relic of Norse mythology, so it would be a little bit sacrilegious to get rid of it entirely, so of course it's going to come back. But if it does end up coming back, then this old man Thor gets the hammer again, becomes worthy of it all over again, and it may or may not still have the power of a literal living sentient cosmic storm trapped inside of it, which is going to be a video for its own time. So anyway, Mjolnir, possibly the power of a cosmic storm, the Thor Force, the Destroyer arm, good God. The events of the first half of the Thor: God of Thunder story happen, and he ends up recreating Earth, and later on down the line, he actually gets the power of the first symbiote, All Black the Necro Sword, one of the most powerful weapons in the entire Marvel universe. He fights Galactus off with it and ends up losing it after the fight, but still, good God, Old Man Thor is super powered up. And you would think that would be the end of it, but no. In the recent Thor series, this Old Man Thor does come back, and it's a lot of fun because I really do like all of this this future stuff, but then things kind of get a little ridiculous. So Thor is off in space, and he comes across Wolverine, who is now the bearer of the Phoenix Force, and he has been empowered by the Phoenix Force for just so many years, and they fight. It's awesome. It's a neat battle, but then they decide to team up against Dr. Doom, and Dr. Doom is just ridiculously overpowered at this point. He is the Star Brand. He is also the Spirit of Vengeance. He is also the Iron Fist, and he is also the Sorcerer Supreme. It really does seem like at this point in this future timeline that Jason Aaron is taking all of the established cool forces of Marvel Comics and are mashing them up in really fun ways, but it just gets a little ridiculous after a while. Everybody is ridiculously overpowered, and I guess when everybody is this OP, nobody is, but fine. So Phoenix Wolverine fights this super mega Dr. Doom, and Doom manages to kill him. His healing factor is not enough against the combined might of all of these crazy powers. He does manage to get a couple more blows into Doom while he's a skeleton, and he passes on the Phoenix Force to Old Man Thor. So now, King Thor is powered up by the Phoenix. He is the Thunderbird, the god of fire. And if he wasn't overpowered enough already, there you go. So what does this even mean? It's really interesting that because during the Infinity Wars event, the Phoenix Wolverine does appear for a brief second. I don't really like how the whole wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey thing ends up working out, but fine, whatever. It was a plot device in order to get one of the Infinity Stones to the characters. But it does imply that that section happens before he dies and passes on the Phoenix Force. Obviously. It's also interesting in the fact that it is now canon that Odin and the Phoenix Force were an item for a bit, a long time ago. So you're telling me that Thor has a symbiotic relationship now with his dad's old flame, pun mildly intended, his old hookup, his possibly ex-girlfriend, his son is now working with and is sort of the same entity with. It's weird. That's really weird, but fine. I mean, it's cool. Really, at the end of the day, all of this stuff is pretty much just adhering to the rule of cool. If it's neat, then go ahead and do it for the sake of it. Go ahead and do it for the crazy mashups, for the impossibly overpowered fights. Maybe this is going to be just one power-up. Maybe Thor is going to get even more powers. Maybe he's going to be even more OP. Maybe he'll find some ancient, or now ancient, super armor that Iron Man created, or maybe even the ancient God Killer armor. Who freaking knows? Maybe Thor becomes a Hulk. It's just big boys fighting other big boys, the book, and it's enjoyable. The 12-year-old in me is absolutely losing his shit right now. The older version of me is more of like, okay, it just seems like instead of quality writing, you're just mashing characters up. But Jason Aaron is a talented writer. It's still an enjoyable book. It just seems like it's ridiculous. I need to learn how to just enjoy the ridiculousness a little bit more. And I'm getting to that point. Look, I know I've probably sounded a little bit negative throughout this entire video, but I want you to understand that comics are dumb. That's not necessarily a bad thing. This dumbness is why I love them in the first place. Kind of crazy over-the-top nonsense like, oh, old King Thor is now the Phoenix and he's fighting Dr. Doom, who is the Star Brand, Ghost Rider, the Iron Fist, and the Sorcerer Supreme all at once. That is inherently dumb, but it's really fun and cool to watch play out. It makes me feel like a child again, when all the just big punching things was all that matters. I'm really glad that sometimes I just get to turn my brain off and enjoy the spectacle. It's a lot of fun. Also, what did you guys think about this new change in format? This isn't gonna replace the weekly video. I'm hoping this would be like in addition to it, where I just talk about super recent things in comics. Let me know what you think. I'd very much appreciate it. I'm trying to give more to you guys out there instead of just me blabbing on about the stuff that I think is interesting that nobody clicks on. Anyway, I hope you like this video, and if you like it, why not watch one of the other million videos I did talking about Thor God of Thunder? There's quite a few of them at this point. But anyway, I hope you learned at least a little something new, and hopefully, I'll see you next time.